On the last session, we'll be talking about scaling up carbon neutral to carbon negative and bioenergy carbon capture storage, or BECCS. So I just briefly start with a short introduction around the topic. So Indonesia is committed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by signing the updated or enhanced NDC, and that's to reach the net carbon sink by 2030. So the question is how the private sector can contribute to support Indonesia to achieve carbon neutral and to extend, of course, carbon negative, and what form of partnership and collaborations that can be explored in order to eliminate deforestation, and what kind of green technology innovation available to achieve net carbon sink. And for that, please welcome our moderator, Mr. Kei Watanabe, who's going to lead the session.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? So, Salam alaikum. Good evening, everyone. Yantel hormat, wapak agus justianto. Director General, Sustainable Forest Management, SLAC Coordinator, Pavilion, Indonesia. Terima kasih. Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome all distinguished guests to the panel discussion of Marubeni Corporation entitled Scaling Up Carbon Neutral to Carbon Negative. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Kei Watanabe from Forest Products Division of Marubeni Corporation. I am so honored to moderate today's panel discussion here at the Indonesia Pavilion. At first, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia for their strong support for our participation to the COP28 in Dubai here. Thank you so much again. Then, please allow me to invite and introduce our honorable guests tonight. When I call your name, please join me at the stage. Host panelist, Mr. Hiroyuki Moriyasu, General Manager of POP Department, Forest Products Division of Marubeni Corporation. Our guest panelist, Dr. Eko Bhakti Hardianto, Professor of Forestry, Gajah Mada University. Please, sir. And Dr. Oki Muraza, Senior Vice President, PT Pertamina Persero. Thank you, sir. And also our guest, Dr. Mahadevan Ramachandran, co-founder and director of social enterprise called Futures Inc. out of Japan. Once again, thank you so much for your attendance to this panel discussion, gentlemen. We would like to express our sincere respect that Indonesia continued strong effort to achieve their updated NDC pledge and the target to reach a net carbon sink in forestry and land use sector by 2030 or sooner. Okay, so we'd like to think and discuss about 4 themes tonight in this session. First, about Marubeni and their commitments and activities in Indonesia. Second, about Marubeni's afforestation company named PT Musyifutan Persada in Indonesia and her contribution to reducing GHG emission and how to go forward. And third, about now and the future of bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. Fourth, about relevance of global carbon markets for scaling up carbon neutral to carbon negative. Each theme in this session is allotted about 15 minutes. And after all presentation provided, we would like to invite questions and opinions from the audience as well. When to question or provide opinions, please kindly state after mentioning your name and the country of origin. Thank you. Okay, then before stepping into the panel discussion, I would like to show the brief, short corporate introduction movie provided from Marubeni Corporation, who is the one of the largest Japanese trading and investment companies in Japan.
The world has seen rapid changes in the past 160 years. As a leading trading company, Marubeni has worked on the many challenges faced by societies and customers around the globe. The environment is changing rapidly with the times. Marubeni believes that we need change. Change for our beautiful planet and for a prosperous society. Now, we are taking a new step forward with the goal of increasing people's well-being. Marubeni is making a paradigm shift. A shift from business that utilizes nature to circular business that contributes to nature. By unlocking the potential of forest resources and treasuring our human connections around the world, we aim to make it a more valuable and sustainable place. We want to shape the norms of tomorrow with new ideas and perspectives. This is why Marubeni is investing in the environment through sustainable projects. For instance, we are trying to enhance the value of forests in Sumatra, Indonesia, by developing species that grow bigger, faster, and are more resilient to diseases. We are not only creating forests that will reduce the CO2 in the atmosphere, but also creating a more sustainable business model for the forestry industry by manufacturing eco-friendly pulp. By introducing international cutting-edge technologies and the carbon credit system, we are aiming to make decarbonization and the circular economy work hand in hand. Also, the company continues contribution for local communities by providing educational opportunities in the schools operated by Marubeni Group and working to enrich the lives of workers, their families, and local people. Leveraging the knowledge and experience we accumulated in Indonesia, we are working to scale sustainable solutions to other regions like the Philippines, Africa, and so much more going forward. Nature is not something to be just utilized. It's something we must coexist and thrive with. We strive to prevail this new perspective in forest management around the world with abundant external partners. In Japan, we are utilizing new carbon credit schemes named J-Credit, building new systems to restore natural forests while also running a sustainable business. Our challenge is to find a way to make decarbonization and economic success work hand in hand. Our experimental green projects should soon make this a reality. Marubeni strives to create a society that coexists with nature, one that cares about the earth and the precious life on it, and that shares wealth equally with everyone. To achieve this, we are leveraging the rich knowledge and network we piled up through all of our businesses. By connecting and collaborating with people around the world, we want to become a front-runner in green business and lead society to a more sustainable future. Open the way to a sustainable future through the power of people and forests. The journey will be never-ending, but we are committed to the challenge because we believe that when corporations and people work together, nothing is impossible. Join us in becoming a front-runner in green business toward a new world with Marubeni.
So much. Yes. How was that? I hope you could see who is Marubeni, what is Marubeni briefly. At the same time, if you could touch their philosophy through the movie. Thank you so much. Okay, then now we are going to move on to the panel discussion part. The first presentation is entitled Marubeni Corporation Green Business Development in Indonesia. This will be mainly discussed with Mr. Hiroyuki Moriyasu, Pulp Department, Forest Product Division, Marubeni Corporation. Mr. Moriyasu joined Marubeni Corporation in 1990 and has been with Marubeni for over 30 years. He had been stationing in Canada for 8 years with dedicating for Canadian pulp mills, and in Indonesia for 10 years, dedicating for PT Tanjung Enim Lestari Pulp and Paper as the President Director from 2019 to 2022. Currently, he leads 80 members of Pulp Department as General Manager to enhance the value of existing afforestation and the pulp business and to create new values for more sustainable future. Mr. Moriyasu, let's start discussion. Okay, then I would like to ask what Marubeni Corporation is and what the mission of Marubeni is. Could you explain about it?
Okay, so thank you, Watanabe-san. And I'd like to say thank you very much for gathering this late time. So especially Pat Agus, Pat Zafur, yeah, thank you very much for gathering. Firstly, so as being asked, I'd like to explain about the Marubeni. Marubeni was founded in 1858 and one of the biggest trading houses in Japan, having 131 offices in 67 countries in the world. Marubeni is involved in a wide range of business, including forest products, chemical, metal, machinery, food, agriculture, and so on. Marubeni's creed is of fairness, innovation, and harmony. Marubeni Group is proudly committed to promote sustainable development and social responsibility and address global challenges such as climate change and poverty. Here is a key number of Marubeni's activity. So for example, Marubeni generates total power generation 12,000 megawatt all over the world. For example, in this UAE, we have a very symbolic project. So world's largest one single solar project, which called the Swaihan Photovoltaic IPP, which generates around 1.2 thousand megawatts. And also in Indonesia, Marubeni has a key numbers as shown in this. What I like to highlight is how much Marubeni is committing to Indonesia. As shown, Marubeni has 16 business divisions, where one of the divisions is Forest Products Division. Forest Products Division is doing any business from upstream to downstream, like a plantation, wood chip, biomass, pulp, paper and paperboard, and waste paper, and so on. As a video showed already, our division's purpose is open the way to a sustainable future through the power of people and forest. The philosophy of us is that if we do something good to society, it will automatically bring us and our stakeholders a profit. The Marubeni strength as global trading company is made to make a synergy of all industries and to create new business along with the global trend and demand flexibly. We call it Global Cross-Value Platform. Now we are focusing on how to create new business. which contributes to both environment and local economy through various projects of us. Among those, one of the biggest and the most symbolic project is a decarbonization project at Musi Pulp project at South Sumatra, Indonesia, which we will make a presentation today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moriyasu. Okay, then I'd like to ask to the history of Musi Pulp project next. And what is the background of Musi Pulp project and why Marubeni decided to join the project in Indonesia?
Okay. The Musi Pulp project was formed in early 1990s as a big national project of Indonesia on purpose to revive the damaged land in South Sumatra as a first productive massive-scale acacia plantation project in the country. The Musi Pulp project consists of Musi Ftan Pulsada, the plantation company, and PT Tanjung Animal Lestari, pulp and paper, the pulp manufacturing facility. Marubeni joined the dream project together with JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, and Nippon Paper Industries to support plantation technology, commissioning and operating the pulp producing facility, and marketing the paper-grade pulp in the world. The pulp mill, PTTEL, started its production its year 2000. PTTEL's production capacity is 500,000 tons per year. It is the only non-integrated pulp producer in Indonesia, hence allocating 100% of output as market pulp. This guarantees stable supply to our customers. Our long presence has gained reputation as stable and sustainable player. The Musi Pulp project now creates as many as 10,000 employment in the region and contributes to the local economy. We are also operating elementary school and junior high school in the site, as below shown, as many as 1,000 local students, and conducting various types of CSR activities to continue to the local society's prosperity.
Thank you so much. And I heard that Marubeni decided to change the tree species from Acacia mangum to eucalyptus in the past. Could you let me know the background of that change?
Okay. So in 2011, we found that our acacia plantation was severely damaged by some reasons, root disease, animal attacks, and so on, that we suppose will happen as possible phenomena for third or fourth rotation of plantation when we just rely on monospecies. Then we made a big decision to transfer into Eucalyptus perita plantation from Acacia mangum plantation to avoid those risks by spending 6 years to revive the whole area. The Musi Pulp project was fully recovered in 2018 after the big surgery period, which was successful and effective.
Thank you so much. I recognize it was so serious decision to change from acacia to eucalyptus, and I can easily imagine that it was so required for tons of effort to succeed it. Thank you so much. And I would like to ask next question to you. And as you mentioned, I heard that Marubeni would aim to be the global cross-value platform, though. As global cross-value platform, how do you contribute to Indonesia and scale the value through in the Musi project?
Yeah, as you just pointed out, Marubeni's role is to be a global cross-value platform. As such, we Marubeni, as an international trading house, would like to make the Musi Pulp project as the most advanced project of plantation and pulp in terms of environment and competitiveness in the decarbonization era to achieve CO2 emission zero or even negative through the projects. We are also targeting to achieve zero waste through some projects such as biochar. PTTEL as a pulp mill revived its competitiveness in the global pulp market in line with the plantation recovery. We are now even strengthening the competitiveness by creating more growth of the forest by the clone technology, by our own R&D team led by Park Eco, and also collaborating with Nippon Paper Industries that has an advanced clonal technology by using DNA analysis at their laboratory in Japan. With that technology, we can save much time to select the best clone candidate and efficiently grow the amount of the forest. Not only to grow the forest further, we can also avoid the risks happened for the monospecies plantation by planting various types of the eucalyptus clone species in the area. Now, access to the biggest growing market of pulp, Asia, is also our big advantage in terms of life cycle assessment through the global decarbonization trend. We are also launching several decarbonization projects as a Mushi Pulp project in line with FOLU Net Sync 2030 of Indonesia. Along with the global decarbonization trend, Marubeni has set a target to achieve net zero GHG emission by 2050. Mushi Pulp project, together with a smaller plantation operation in Australia, have a target to increase the CO2 stock at these operations from 11 million tons in the year 2020 to 19 million tons in 2030. We are also developing plantation activities globally at the Philippines, Malaysia, Africa, and Japan as well. One of the most progressive projects is bioenergy carbon capture storage, BECCS project with Pertamina. This is a key project how our pulp mill in Sumatra can achieve carbon negative by bringing a technology from Europe or for extracting CO2 from the facility, then stored firmly to the nearby area with cooperation with Pertamina. We are now pursuing this as a first BECCS case in Asia. Pa Oki will explain later about the details. As an international activity, we just joined ISFC, which is International Sustainable Forestry Coalition, which was just formed by several key forest companies to support the role of sustainable forest management in the world. The organization mission is to assist in the transition to a more sustainable society, focusing on sustainable land use, conservation and restoration of nature, renewable materials in a circular bioeconomy, and rural economy benefits. We would like to feedback any global environmental movement efficiently to proceed various decarbonization projects at the Mushi Pulp project. By utilizing our global network through various business, we will continuously improve and make evolution to the Indonesian project, which we believe it contributes to the decarbonization policy of Indonesia and the local economy to enrich the people's life. We are glad to make this symbolic presentation this time from the Indonesian Pavilion. In the 65th anniversary year after starting diplomatic relationship between Indonesia and Japan. Today, we would like to introduce 3 symbolic decarbonization projects at the Mushi Pulp project, which is clone technology and BECCS and the carbon farming through this session. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for your very informative presentation, Mr. Moriyasu. I have many questions, though time is limited. So One question from me. I believe striving with local peoples must be essential for afforestation projects like municipal project. Could you let me elaborate the activities to foster the relationship with the local people?
Yeah, so so one big thing is education aspects. So we already introduced it. So we are managing the school, elementary school and middle high school, and also we are now purchasing so scholarship program that is already going on for a few years. Then also we are contributing that so how make a vital village movement like so we like so we are bringing them kind of so knowledge how to create a business like so utilizing their assets like so making a batik and the dry fruits and such and such by each village.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I really understood that you'd like to emphasize Marubeni Corporation aims to contribute to the achievement of NDC of Indonesia in line with the decarbonization policy and target through exploring the new businesses and introducing new technologies into Musi Pulp project in South Sumatra, Indonesia. Thank you so much. Mr. Morias will be available to answer further questions after the session. Thank you, Mr. Morias, again. And okay, let's move on to our next presentation entitled Contribution of PT Musi Hutan Persada to Reducing GHG Emission. This theme would be presented by Dr. Eko Bhakti Hardianto from Gajah Mada University. And Dr. Eko Bhakti Hardianto is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Forestry, Gajah Mada University in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, and research and development advisor at PT Musi Hutan Persada, a plantation forestry company operated by Marubeni in South Sumatra. He received his forest engineer degree from Gajah Mada University and completed master and PhD degrees in forest science from Michigan State University, the States. Time is yours, Dr. Eko. Okay.
Thank you, Watanabe-san, for the good introduction. It is my pleasure to have a talk today. So it is very important talk session. My title of the presentation is Contribution of PT Musi Hutan Persada to reducing the greenhouse gas emission. Next, please. The company locally is called MHP or the MSP is managing a plantation for producing wood for pulp built in the nearby of the plantation. It's located in South Sumatra, covering area of planted area of 115,000 hectares. In addition to that, also managing a conservation area. All the plantation is grow on the mineral soil. So it is quite different from other company. Probably that Musi Hutan Persada is 100% the plantation grown on mineral soil. That is distinguished from other company. Next, please. So the plantation is established from the scratch, zero actually, because the tree is growing from unproductive, dominated by grassland imperata, as resulted from the long practice of slash and burn agriculture. And this started in 1989 by growing Acacia manjum as a good species for that kind of environment, and fast growing, and the pulp properties is good. I mean, wood property is good for making pulp. After 10 years, the companies start harvesting wood to supply the wood demand from the pulp mill built nearby in the plantation with a capacity of 150,000 craft pulp per hectare, consuming about 2.2 million cubic meter of for wood. All the wood is 100% supply from the plantation. That is again distinguishing from the company, which is the normally not starting from the scratch. But this is quite different, because after growing trees 9 to 10 years, then the company start harvesting that supply all the wood for the pulp mill. Okay. So the company, MSP, is committed to managing the plantation with best management practices to continuously try to improve the productivity with environmental care. Also, try to incorporating carbon as relevant aspect in the in operation. The company also contributing to Indonesian government target in net carbon sink, reduction in greenhouse gas emission about 31.9% unconditionally and 43.2 conditionally by 2030. Next slide. In managing plantation, the company is applied best management practices. For example, in the harvesting, the philosophy is the don't damage to the soil. So this kind of a system has been practiced for a long time, especially conserving the harvest residue on site. By doing that, try to conserve the soil compaction and soil displacement and soil erosion. The reason is all harvest residue is used for as cushion, but as protecting mechanism when trees is hauled from the compartment to the seats to the roadside. Again, in the site preparation, the company also has a principle that the soil damage must be kept at a minimal. So about 20% of the harvest residue is conserved on site and redistributed in the compartment. And in addition to, when we spray with the herbicide, as for site preparation, certain regulation must be kept in practice that must protecting to the environment, also the worker, for killing the weed before the trees are growing on site, in the compartment. Please. Fertilizer is a part of the management practices and growing a plantation. But in this company, only small amount of phosphorus is applied at planting time. No nitrogen fertilizer so far is applied, only phosphorus in a small amount during a rotation of 6 years. In addition, for maintenance, only 2 or 3 times of herbicide is applied for maintenance or weed control, using the certain herbicide which is comply with the regulation of the government that's minimize the effect to the environment, also to the worker. That's very important. Only certified or labeled herbicide that's used. That's very important for the protecting the environment. Fire management is very important to protect the plantation from the damage, protecting also soil organic matter in the site, and also reducing the carbon dioxide emission from the plantation. Okay. Next, please. This is very important figure. I want to show you that how the company try to manage the productivity in the long term. This data is from the research plots that over 3 decades, the trial has been put it in the same site, in the same compartment, and try replanting after rotation. Try to monitor how the productivity, whether persistent, decline, or increasing. They're showing you that the company able to manage the long-term productivity. That's from the experimental plot. That's very important. Not many companies having this kind of data. It's been published in a couple of journals, this one. Okay. Another data, the previous one from experiment plot, but this is from the operational scale. Collecting from the many plot, hundreds plot in 3 decades. And as you can see that productivity in terms of the MI, mean annual increments, well, fluctuating, but overall, the productivity is, can be maintained. Even though we're changing the species from acacia to eucalyptus, doesn't matter. As long as we produce the wood for supplying the wood for the mill. Okay. Soil is very important because the business of the plantation is, the big asset is of the company is soil. So we must protect. For example, we monitor the carbon, soil carbon, long term, over decades. Then you can see here the concentration of the carbon stable and tend to increase. So that's the soil carbon content in the soil. Even though we only calculated on the soil surface 10 centimeters, but soil carbon also can store in deeper layer of the soil. Okay? The silent point I want to explain here is the company is managing about 120,000 hectares of plantation. Every year, the company harvests, also planting. For example, every year, the company is harvests about 22,000 hectares. But in the same time, within less than 2 months, the company also had to grow another new trees. So this graph can illustrate, you know, where is the trees is growing and also harvested. Then I can calculate here and show you the graph that carbon accumulation within 6 years, about 93 tons per hectare, growing quite fast. But if we calculated in the entire plantation at the company managing, the carbon stock is about 3.6 million ton. Yeah, sorry. That is the, on average, you know, an average about 3.6 ton in 120,000 hectares that the company is managing. That's from the standing trees only, from standing trees above ground. But it could calculate also the below ground. It's estimated about 20% of the standing trees is below the ground. So overall, the carbon stock in the plantation is quite high. So within 2 months after harvesting, the land must be planted, replanted. Nowadays, we replanted the new clones, expecting the productivity was higher because the old one, this is a seedling, come from seedling. But the new ones, about 3 months old, is about from clone. So expecting again that productivity not only be maintained, but we want to increase in the future. Please. Company also developing bioenergy in partnership with the local people. So we're planting different species of eucalyptus that's suitable for bioenergy. For example, eucalyptus brasiliana here. So we're working with the local communities in their own land. This land is belong to the local community, belong to the farmer, smallholder farmer mostly. So in total target is about 20,000 hectares overall, and we continuously improving the productivity for the bioenergy. So not only providing the job, providing the economic opportunity for the local people, but also contributing to the more reduction to the greenhouse gas emission. Okay. For adaptation to the climate change, the company try to maintain the genetic diversity, try to find a new clone to adapt to the existing condition. If this happen in the future, we are ready with the genetic material for adaptation. We, in collaboration with the Nippon paper, try to apply new technique. It's called genomic selection to speed up finding the good clone, high productive clone, but also more resilient to the local condition. For example, we try to select either pure species or hybridizing, controlling cross with the other species, not only within the Eucalyptus pelita, but also other species that may be suitable to our environment. The company, as I mentioned before, also conserving area for wildlife. So regularly we monitor for availability of the mammal, reptile, also bird. So we try to identify which mammal is a reptile or bird is under threat or in danger. So we must protect and conserve in our conservation area. Please. We also want to protect other environment. For example, water body. Regularly we monitor the quality of the water and also the air around within the plantation company. I already mentioned aspect of the sustainability in the narrow sense, biophysical, but it's not enough. If you want to maintain long-term sustainability, we must also pay attention to the social aspect, what I call it a broad sense of sustainability. So the promotion of economic growth, employment to local communities is very important, part of the sustainability in the long term. So the company is providing 1,000 jobs, mostly for local people. 80% is from local community. Also, as I mentioned before, that we're also developing bioenergy plantation that's providing jobs for local communities. And certainly it's contribute to the livelihood and wealth of the people surrounding the plantation. Please. So to conclude my presentation, I want to thanks to the management of the PT Musi Hutan Persada, Marubeni Group, also R&D staff of PT Musi Hutan Persada, where I've been working for so many years, and to my colleague, Joko Supriyati, for helping me to try to calculate the carbon budget. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Syukron.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eko. There are many questions, though, that I have to limit. The second discussion here, we really understood the historical background and efforts of PT Musi Hutan Persada and aiming to contribute to decarbonization in Indonesia with local communities as well. Thank you so much again. Okay, so let's move on to our third speaker from PT Pertamina Persero, Dr. Okimuraza. Dr. Okimuraza is the Senior Vice President, Research and Technology Innovation in Pertamina Holding. He is the Deputy Co-Chair in B20 India 2023 for Task Force of Energy, Climate Change and Resource Efficiency. Previously, he was the Policy Manager in B20 Indonesia 2022 in Task Force of Energy, Sustainability and Climate. He was co-lead in the Net Zero Strategy Task Force and the Chemical Business Task Force within Pertamina. And Dr. Oki was one of the world's top 2% influential energy scientists worldwide by Stanford University in 2020. He has more than 20 years in the energy industry. He received his PhD from Eindhoven University of Technology. His presentation is about the topic entitled Bioenergy with Carbon Capture and Storage. Let's welcome Dr. Okimuraza. Time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Watanabe-san. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Konbanwa, minasan. This evening, thank you for staying very late with us today. And I think we are very lucky that we are going to enjoy very good topics this evening because there are at least two ways to store carbon. The first one is by photosynthesis, yeah, biological storage. And the second one is geological storage, in which that we can inject the CO2 underground, yeah. And this evening, we are going to discuss the combination of those two. So we can expect that they will be carbon negative. So before that, we would like to start with the strategy that we have in Pertamina Group. Next slide, please. Yeah, even before Pertamina, Indonesia is blessed with a lot of potentials. We know that we are one of the best country in terms of natural-based solutions. We have about more than 50 species of mangroves in Indonesia. And surprisingly, we are also one of the largest CO2 storage in the world. Yeah. So from some studies, they said at least we have 400 gigatons of CO2 storage capacity. This is what we are going to try to prove in with the Pertamina Group. Of course, we have also a number of renewable energy in Indonesia, especially the geothermal. Next slide, please. Yeah, Pertamina is one of the largest state-owned enterprise. We are helping our government in order to reach the net zero in 2060 or sooner by a number of innovations, including the one that we have within this presentation. So from this slide, basically, we learn that the energy demand will be tripled or even more. And also, we expect that the portion of renewables will be more than 1/3, yeah, in 2050. And of course, we want to mitigate our emission at least also 30%. Yeah. But now, as we learn that the national determined contribution (NDC) is moving from about 29 to 32%. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is basically the strategy that we have in Pertamina. We are trying to reduce the emission from our current operations, such as the utilization of CO2, capturing the methane, reducing the flare gas minimizations. And then the second one is by building low carbon business. Low carbon business, including biofuels, including adding capacity to our geothermal, etc., etc. And the third one is the most interesting one. So building new business, including carbon negative business that we are going to discuss today. And as you can see that on the right side, there are a number of strategies in which that we are going to combine in this topic here. So the bioenergy combined with CCS and CCUS. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. In the past few years, we have a number of CCS and CCUS projects, almost 20 projects with many companies, at least 2 international oil companies, and so many companies from Japan. So because Japan government and Indonesia, we have an agreement in so many things, including in ASEC, yeah, the Asia Zero Emission Community. And you can see that there are many projects, CCS and CCUS, starting from Sumatra until Sulawesi, etc., etc. So one of the projects that we are considering is basically the one in South Sumatra. This is very interesting. First, we have the bioenergy and the utilization in which that Marubeni is having their site. And nearby that place, there is also depleted reservoir in which that we can use the CCUS and CCS. Next slide. Yeah, this is more visual descriptions. Basically, we can capture the CO2 by having natural-based solutions. Yeah, there are two types of species. I think it was presented by Moria-san and also by Pa Eko. Yeah, then the biomass will be utilized. Yeah, in this case, it's converted to products and utilized as energy. And then the CO2, which is released, being captured, and it can be injected via CCS. So this is a beautiful concept. We are capturing the CO2 by photosynthesis, by carbon stock on the soil, and also by using CCS. Next slide, please. Yeah, a bit wider perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, we can have carbon credits, yeah, carbon credits projects by having different options, yeah. For instance, energy efficiency, if we utilize the waste heat stream, and then we can claim it as a potential carbon credit. And renewable energy, yeah, I will show you that we have a geothermal, beautiful renewable energy base load from Indonesia. This is also potentially as a carbon credit projects. And in addition to that, we have also natural-based solutions, yeah. Forestry, for instance, yeah, we are lucky that we are among our colleagues from KLHK, from Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Blue carbon and sustainable agriculture. Yeah. This is another topic that I want to learn, basically. Sustainable agriculture is very important topic for Indonesia, because the most important part of this sustainability is the human itself. So we need to create jobs, we need to educate our people on sustainable agriculture. Yeah, so we can see where is the position of the bioenergy combined with CCS on this slide. So you have the solutions to get the carbon credits by having natural-based solutions. Yeah. Then you have the options to remove the carbon, and then you have the options to generate renewable energy like geothermal. Then you have the options of capturing CO2, storing CO2, and then BECCS, bioenergy combined with CCS. And the last one, of course, we have DAC, yeah, direct air capture, which is still at the early stage with the very high price, basically, above $160 per ton. So these are the options, and basically the topic that we are discussing today is basically the combination of this. Yeah, there is a part of national-based solution, and there is part of also technology-based solutions. Yeah. Now a bit highlight about the carbon market in Indonesia. As you know that recently the stock exchange, yeah, inaugurated by our presidents recently, yeah, it's already started, yeah, and we managed to have at the beginning about 460,000 ton of CO2 has been traded. Yeah, this is quite interesting, and this is just from the geothermal that we have. So this is basically motivating us that there is potential of having the market of carbon in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Yeah, a bit about the CCUS and CCS. Indeed, in terms of capex, this is a project in which that we require quite a certain number of capex. But of course, we are trying to improve it, yeah, by different ways. First of all, the technology should be improved, yeah, the way we capture it. I think now many companies are working on CO2 capture. About 75% of the cost is related to the capture itself. So once we are advancing in capturing either by absorptions or by membrane, and then we are going to reduce the cost itself. And of course, we hope that there will be a regulatory framework which will support the implementation of CCUS and CCS in Indonesia. Yeah, so those are some of the highlights of our activities. We hope that this discussion will open further opportunities for us, especially when we discuss the combination between the two options, yeah, combination of bioenergy with CCS. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okimura-san. Your great, insightful presentation. I really understood that the Pertamina has been focusing on and tackling against the decarbonization in many sectors with series of projects. And I have a quick question. What is the Pertamina strategy to implement CCS business since, as you mentioned, this technology is still in very high capex and OPEX intensity?
Yeah, thank you so much, Watanabe-san. So this is very interesting questions. We know that the cost is high for CCS. Now, what are the options for us to reduce the cost, or how can we start something with this? Yeah. So first of all, the collaboration is very important. So as you know from our map, we have a lot of collaborations from Sumatra until Sulawesi, basically. So with this collaboration, we are trying to reduce the costs and also to reduce the risk, in which that we also expect that we start to have the ecosystems and we learn each other. And the most important is basically national capacity building. So we are educating our petroleum engineers, we are educating our geologists, etc., etc. We learned so many things basically in the past few years about the calculations, how to calculate the storage, etc., etc. So collaboration is very important. And the second one, the technology is very important. So we really appreciate that now we have so many partners, not only in Indonesia, but all over the globe, about the capturing, transporting, about injecting. So technology will be one of the enablers for this technology, for the implementation. And then after technology, what is also important is the infrastructure. So I think with the time we need to build, starting the infrastructure like in US, yeah. If you see in US, there are already a pipeline for CO2, etc., etc. So infrastructure will be important. And then the final one, of course, the capital. The capital is not only important to have pilot demonstration plan, but it's also important pouring the money and investment to develop the technology itself. And of course, after that, once we are reaching the higher points of the S-curve, the cost will go lower, and also with the economic of scale. And at that time, we are ready for large implementation.
Thank you so much. I understand your point. Appreciate it. And then it might be time to close our discussion. Once again, Dr. Okimura-san, thank you so much. And time flies so fast, Mac. Let's move on to our final theme from Futures Inc., Dr. Mahadevan Ramachandran. Dr. Ramachandran has over 25 years of experience building community programs in developing countries for emergency relief and long-term sustainability. He currently runs Futures Inc., a social enterprise out of Japan. His last post at the United Nations World Food Programme was in the 4.5 billion per year Global Supply Chain Division at headquarters. He lived and worked in Cambodia, DPR Korea, Sudan, Zimbabwe, etc. for over 20 years. He holds a PhD in economics from Clark University. His presentation are about the topic entitled Relevance of Global Carbon Markets for Scaling Up Carbon Neutral to Carbon Negative. Time is yours, Dr. Mack.
Thank you very much. I'm really sorry it's so late in the evening. I hope I can make it somewhat interesting. I hope I can stay awake. It's about 1 a.m. in my head right now. So thank you very much for the opportunity to the Indonesia Pavilion. Really a great topic. I learned a lot from the BECCS and the MHP presentations. I'll talk a little bit about the relevance of global carbon markets for the topics that went ahead of me, forestry and BECCS. Next slide, please. Just to give you an idea, I think some of you know the global carbon market essentially consists of two parts. One is a compliance market and one is a voluntary market. The compliance market, as the name indicates, is something that's mandatory, that is imposed by governments on companies to reduce their emissions. For example, Indonesia will have a compliance market very soon. The European Union emission trading system is the biggest compliance market in the world. So essentially, compliance markets work. They take all the companies that emit a lot of emissions, and then they have a cap on it, and then every year the cap goes down. So the companies have to find a way to meet the cap, right? And usually renewable energy, electric cars, and if they can't meet the cap, they have to buy allowances from somebody else that has overshot the cap. So that's the compliance market. The voluntary market, as the name indicates, is voluntary. Almost all the Fortune 500 companies have indicated very ambitious carbon reduction goals. So again, they invest in renewable energy, et cetera, but they have a residual emissions, and they use carbon credits for the residual emissions. Next slide, please. So this is to give you an idea of the global compliance markets. Overall, they cover about 11.6 billion tons of emissions, 25% approximately of the world's emission today. The interesting thing is that in the Paris Agreement, about 2/3 of global emissions countries have committed to using carbon markets. So compliance markets in the next 4, 5, 10 years are going to be very, very big. Today, the trading is around $1 trillion. It could be $20, $30 trillion of money flowing through compliance markets. It's very difficult to see, but roughly the dark shaded countries are the ones with existing compliance markets. The light blue, like Indonesia, are countries that will have an emission trading system soon. The light pink ones are countries that have a carbon tax, and the very light ones are countries that will have a carbon tax. So that's the general overview of compliance carbon markets. Next one, please. Just quickly on the compliance carbon markets, I want to say the compliance carbon markets usually allow about 5 to 10% of the obligations to be met through carbon credits. So that's where they have a relevance to the topics that we were discussing before. The overall carbon offset market size today, carbon credits, is about 300 million tons right now. But people expect it to go up to 1.1 to 2 billion tons by 2030. Significantly increased demand, 4 to 6, 4 to 7 times where it is today. And the price will also go up. So the market today is about $2 billion. It's likely to go between $25 to $50 billion in the next 7 years. So there's a significant amount of resources that can accelerate investment in forestry and bioenergy, capture, storage, and those kinds of projects going forward. Approximately around 60% of the demand for, let's say, 1.5 billion tons by 2030 is likely to come from the voluntary market, about 40% from compliance markets. Okay, this is to give you an idea of the kind of carbon projects in Indonesia. Indonesia issued about 30 million tons of credits in the last 3 years. Almost all of it is what we call avoidance credits. So like either there was forest being cut and the rate of forest being cut has been slowed down, or there was coal being used and that's replaced with renewable energy. So almost all of the credits are what are called avoidance credits. Avoidance is important, but we also need to do removals on a very, very grand scale. And the world is now moving towards looking more and more at what we call carbon removal credits. Next slide, please. The IPCC, 1,000 of the smartest scientists in the world working on climate change, did a report last year, right? And they said pretty much any way we look to reduce carbon emissions in the world, carbon removals is a big part of the answer. And the two things that have the highest potential based on science today are afforestation, reforestation, the projects presented by Moriyasu-san and Dr. Oki-san. And the other one is bioenergy capture and storage, right? And the nice thing about bioenergy capture and storage compared to all the other CCS, it's the only one that can also generate energy, right? So it has a dual benefit in terms of not only the climate change, but also energy generation. So in terms of scenarios, the IPCC says we need to get to about 2.75 billion tons a year by 2050 on afforestation, reforestation type operations, and about 3 billion tons from bioenergy capture and storage. And this is at 2 degrees Celsius. If you want to do 1.5 degrees Celsius, this number goes more than double, right? And to give you a sense, today we're running at a few million tons, right? So we literally need to scale up 50x, 100x, 200x carbon removal. And The Economist just ran an article, my favorite magazine that I've been reading for 30 years, cover to cover, ran an article saying it could be a $1 trillion industry very, very soon, right? Carbon removals. Next slide, please. So just to give you an idea, for carbon removals from demand side, what do buyers want? What do big companies want, right? BCG ran a survey of 113 big buyers of carbon credits. And they said like currently around 40 to 50% of the demand is for avoidance and the rest is for removal. And they divide the removal into what they call slightly less durable removals, which is tree planting, and then very durable removals like bioenergy capture and storage. They think by 2030, that's going to shift to 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 is going to be avoidance, and 66% is going to be carbon removal demand from buyers of carbon credits, right? And that number will increase to almost 80% by 2050, right? So the buyers want more of this, right? So for example, there's a consortium by Google, Facebook, Stripe, et cetera, to create a market specifically for durable removal. So for example, for bioenergy carbon credits, they are willing to pay $100 to $150 a ton, while the carbon market today is working anywhere between $5 to $20 a ton. So there are also specialized platforms that are being developed to help move more of the carbon removal ideas like bioenergy capture, carbon capture and storage. The graph on the right, or my left, whichever, shows that the supply by 2030, based on all of the projects that Pertamina and everybody else is doing, is going to be somewhere between 15 to 30 million tons. But the demand could be anywhere from 40 to 200 million tons. So I think we all need to really, get a bit more serious about carbon removals, right? Next slide, please. So the next slide essentially talks about market size again, right? Just for carbon removals, like the BECCS project that Pertamina spoke about, the market size could be anywhere between $10 to $40 billion by 2030. So again, the carbon markets could serve as a significant accelerator of durable carbon removals from the atmosphere. Next slide, please. Having said this, right, if I take CCS, right, there's an example of a Norwegian carbon capture and storage project. It's been running for 20 years. Quite successful, it'll probably be very similar if we take something like BECCS in Indonesia, right? the cost in this case is about 100 to 250 euros per ton, with half and half. Half for actually capturing the carbon and half for transport and storage. About 30–40% of that is met by carbon markets, right? So for example, if Stripe or Alphabet or Facebook want to pay about $100, $125 a ton for bioenergy capture and storage, it'll probably cover about 30–40% of the cost, at the cost as of today. In the case of Norway, the way they manage to run it is that another significant part is covered by the EU subsidy, and then on top is the Norwegian government subsidy, and then on top is the private sector cost, right? So the 250 euros or so gets spread across 5 parties, right? Carbon markets, EU subsidy, Norwegian subsidy, and the private sector itself. The interesting thing about this is that in the next 10 years, you will be able to go down in cost to 35 to 50 euros. That's what they think, right? And it'll be the same, like Pertamina was saying, that the technology, as it improves, the cost per ton will go down, right? So governments around the world, UK, Denmark, Norway, are significantly investing in BECCS for sort of 2 reasons. One, carbon removal is important, but it also creates high-tech jobs in the country. It generates energy. So it's a worthwhile subsidy incentive for like 5–10 years until the technology catches up and becomes competitive in the market. So this CCS needs a multi-pronged approach to succeed. Next slide, please. Afforestation is a bit less complex, but still, as Dr. Eko-san touched upon, the local community involvement is critical. Many forestry projects in Indonesia or Philippines or Zimbabwe have fallen by the wayside because communities were not an active part of it. So you can plant a tree, but if you don't have the community as an active part of it, they'll cut it down for agriculture, livestock, etc. Similarly, they talked about the complexity of what tree to plant, where, etc., right? And then, of course, now, even if we get the right tree, the right location, the right community engagement, climate change changes a lot of things. So how do you accommodate planting a tree today that needs to stand for 30, 40, 50, 100 years, right? The big thing for people like us, because we're in the carbon credit business for a long time, the big thing for us is afforestation projects have a very long cash flow period. So we put money today, it takes 6–7 years to turn a profit. So for example, MHP took a long time before the project started making money in Indonesia. So it requires significant risk-taking ability. Oh my God. I'm getting like giant signs saying shut up, but okay. And then the last one, of course, is remove the tree could be lost to droughts, floods, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, so just to give you a sense of the economics, no? The forestry part we talked about, costs range anywhere from $1 to $100 a ton, right? So pretty much a lot of it could be done by the current carbon market, right? While carbon capture and storage, the costs run between $15 to $400 per ton for what Pertamina-san were talking about. So in a way, you need to figure out a multi-pronged approach to solve the cost problem in the bioenergy capture and storage space. Next. Okay, I'll sort of end with a very critical, in my opinion at least, the role of host governments, right? In the case of Indonesia or Norway or US. I think that the ability to sort of tax as you go forward a forestry project or carbon credit projects, and to be able to use that revenue to help vulnerable communities to adapt to climate change is one big benefit of host governments and carbon credits. The other, of course, is ensuring that communities equally benefit from the carbon credit projects. The third one, as I said earlier, is promoting advanced technologies, high-tech jobs, right? The fourth one is the ability to balance the obligations, right? In terms of how much do you want as foreign investment into your carbon credit project, how much do you want to control domestically, right? Then the last one, of course, is the Kailhaka type ministries have a huge amount of technical expertise. So how can you benefit from that, right? The sort of bigger point, I'm an economist by training, the bigger point is that in general, developed country costs to reduce carbon are much higher, $50, $100, $200, $300 a ton. In emerging markets, the same things can be done for half, 1/3, 1/4 of the price. So you need some version of an arbitrage, right? So to what extent can emerging markets benefit from this spatial arbitrage to promote significant investment in their countries and also do high-tech jobs, generate renewable energy, contribute to carbon removal, right? And then overall, governments being involved will give confidence to foreign direct investment, right? The Indonesian government being an active part of this could see tens of billions of dollars coming into Indonesia for carbon credits because of the ability to give a high degree of transparency and quality control to the offsets. So for me, the government role is critical to the success of forestry programs or bioenergy capture and storage. Thank you again. I'm very sorry it's so late. And I really apologize to the lady who was holding the 1-minute card about 5 minutes ago. So thank you again to everybody for this chance.
Thank you, Dr. Mack, for your very insightful presentation. And I wish I could invite the questions from the audience, though. Unfortunately, due to the time limitation, I would like to, going to close. But I personally and strongly believe that we should be able to shape carbon negative through forestry and the BECCS, not only by private sector, but when public sectors, private sectors, and academic sectors, and philanthropies would align together and cooperate toward the shared purpose. It would be grateful if this opportunity would be that chance for each audience to consider about what we should do and how we should do for a more sustainable future. And I would personally like to appreciate the honorable speakers, panelists. Thank you so much. And the amazing staff of Indonesian Pavilion and the distinguished audience. Thank you so much for providing. This session is now going to be closed. Thank you so much again.